Hey everyone, we're back, and we'll see that some things are slightly bit different than we last left off. I added some different meshes for the cities, and I just added a larger mesh object to be the world at our current time. But what we're going to be doing today is we're going to be making it so when we go into a city, we actually like load into a city, and we're going to be using level streaming for that. And then we're also going to be doing some basic combat stuff. Not too much there, just like some projectiles, life value stuff, and getting hit. Basic stuff, not too much. What we're going to do is we are going to go ahead and we're going to create a new map here. The reason why is because we want to be able to load into this map at runtime. So we create the map first, and then we assign this map into our current map. And if you see up here at the top right, this is our levels menu. And we have the persistent level here, but we can go ahead and we can add new levels and new maps to it. And then what we can do is, as many maps that we have in here, we can then stream in between them. Um, just literally loading the meshes for them. The materials are already loaded in memory. One of the downsides of it, so you probably don't want to be streaming against too many things that use too many different memory pools, lots of different textures and stuff like that. But our game is going to be very lightweight, so we're not going to be concerned about that. So we're going to go out of our engine content, go back to our normal content. Don't know how we got there. We're going to go to our starter content. We're going to go to our blueprints, and oh, nope, that's right. We are doing this a little bit differently. We're going to our top-down BP, and then we're going to our custom, and we're going to go ahead and create a new folder here, and we're just going to call it maps. We'll create a new map in here, or level, and we're just going to call it map city. We're going to double click this, and our entire editor is then going to switch over to that map, which right now is a blank void. And I probably should have brought in a basic map, because now that I think about it, I'm going to have to set up some stuff if I want this all to start working cleanly. First thing we're going to do is we're going to go ahead and make sure that we specialize our same. We're going to select our game mode, and I already forgot what our game mode was. And it's probably just going to be game mode here. I believe that's probably what it's going to be. And the game mode is basically, it's not like global. It's sort of global. It changes in between loading. The only thing that would really be global is your game instance, which is a class that sole purpose is to persist in between loading and things like that. But game modes are tied to levels, and when you load into them, you switch to the game mode. So they're innately just kind of tied to it. We're going to go ahead and say that we are going to just add some static meshes. We're just going to make a basic world. Actually, you know what? I know what we're going to do. We're going to undo what we just did, because I want to save us some time by not having to redo all these, but I do want these. Here we go. And we're just going to use this one. We're going to say map, city basic, because I don't want to have a duplicated naming. Go ahead and delete this here. Save this, build this. Hey everyone who's showing up to the stream. Okay, we will now select our map city basic. Moving stuff in between UE4 is a little bit complicated. You gotta drag into it. There's not really any copying and pasting. So we can just take this into. You can also move it directly through the Explorer, but if you have any references, you'll have to fix them up. Oh, how do I get? Oh, here it is. That's what I'm looking for. And let's go ahead and just bring this up a little bit so everyone can kind of see. So what I'm going to do is go back into our custom. Actually, wrong way. I want to go to our maps. Now that we have that in here, we can then select custom and drag these over to our maps. Move here. There we go. Now we have them, and we will just go in. Oh, one of these is our original one. That's why. Okay, So now we have this here. It's pretty much just like our other world, which is perfectly fine. But what we are going to do is we're just going to have like yeah, we're just going to have some of our top-down characters, I guess. Top-down. We're going to place some of these in the world. Put one here. We are then going to go ahead and... Oh, our game mode is overworld. So I did get it wrong earlier, but that's fine. I remember naming it overworld last time. Oh, we're getting a lot of messages. What are you doing here? Does he know we're here? Not sure that was waits to see earlier. It's about... Are you done for the day? No, we are just starting. I apologize, everyone. I'm kind of recording here, so not paying too much to the chat. This is more of like a tutorial series that I just happened to also live stream. But I do appreciate the viewership. I'll try to get to all your answers and your responses and all that. But anyways, back to this is what we're going to do is we're going to have some just static meshes just so we can make it a little bit more visually apparent when we do load into this. Here's some geometry. What's in here? Yo, here we go. We'll add a... That's a material. That's not what I meant to do. Just stretch these up just so it's visually apparent. Let's just assume like this is a house, everyone. I think we all have good enough imaginations to imagine that this right here is a house. I'm then going to Alt drag, and that will make it so I duplicate the object. So I don't have to drag a bunch out. Just saving myself a little bit of time. So you just hold the Alt key while you drag any of these and it'll duplicate like this. Alright, here's our city. Now you can see that we're still loading in here and still all of our city logic is applying, probably because I have that tied to the level, don't I? So we're going to turn that off for this level. We're going to go to blueprints, open level blueprints, and no, that is not the case. It's our game mode. That's right. So we probably want a different game mode specifically for this. We're going to go ahead and don't need to really duplicate it. We will go to our top-down BP, custom. We will do a new folder. We're just going to call this game modes. We're probably not going to have too many game modes. Probably just, all I can predict right now is just 2 game modes. But we'll go to, is it going to be just, okay, that's it. We're going to create a new blueprint, and we're going to instantiate it from the parent class's game mode. There's a game mode basic, which has less stuff into it. It's just a more trimmed down version if you don't want some of the basic stuff that's in game mode, but we're going to go ahead and use the default one. All right, anyways, we will go ahead and take a, go ahead and assign this. We will say, we'll just call the city. Let's game mode underscore city. Do something like that. Okay, so we'll go ahead and we will switch this game mode over to our game mode city. And now when we play, we will no longer be spawning cities, as you can see. Also, probably need a nav mesh, apparently. Does this not have a nav mesh? There is a nav mesh. Oh, probably because it's all tied to that stuff. That's right. Anyways, we'll go ahead and we will make it so we'll stream in between our first level and this level whenever we enter a city. So for that, we need to go to our BP cities. Actually, can we actually do a level stream in here? I'm not sure if these, yeah, okay. I wasn't sure if we could do these with something as abstract as just a random object, but that's good. So what we need to do is we need to go ahead and import our level. But why is it not showing up? Did we not save it? Oh, because we're in this level that we want to be in. That's first of all, that's the issue. So we'll start with our top-down example map. And then we will, add existing. There we go. Top-down BP, maps. Oh, that's right. I got to go to the custom. Top-down BP, custom, and then maps. We go ahead and select that. And then now we have our map city basic. Now we have to make sure that we get this name exactly right because we actually have to type it in. We pass it as a string. So in our BP city, we're going to go ahead and say stream level, make visible after load. We're going to make it so it does not block on load. And we're going to go ahead and pass the name. And the name is going to be map underscore city basic. So map underscore city basic. Okay. So what we're going to do is when we hit our overlap event, actually, I guess it looks like we do it inside here. This is what happens when, okay, can't put that, it's a latent function. Oh, okay, that's fine. So this is, I'll explain what just happened. I just try to copy this and paste this into this function, but it won't allow me to do that. It says conflicting nodes substitute during paste. And the reason why is because this function is a latent function. And you can tell by the little clock up here. And what that means is that whenever this pin, we execute this wire, we have no idea, we have no certainty of how long it will take for it to complete. It could be a few seconds. It could be that same event tick. It could be, potentially even like weeks. Although that'd be really outside the realms of possibility. I don't think we would really do that. But potentially it could. And we're not allowed to do that inside functions. Functions are non-latent. They should always resolve the same frame that they were called, the same processing tick that they were called. So what we need to do is we need to make sure this can be latent, which event graph is the easiest way to do it. So we can just go ahead and do a cheap little custom event to call this inside the function. And we're going to say load city. Pop that in there. We will now go back to our claim, and we will then say load city. We're going to keep this print here just to make sure we're all good. Okay. So first of all, the city has to get claimed. So we're going to wait till the city actually gets claimed. Oh, problem. Literally everyone is going to activate this code, even the AI. So it did work. You can see the level did stream in. Here's the houses. The problem is that it's doing it multiple times as for everyone that enters one of the cities. So that's problematic. We probably need to make sure that we only do this whenever it's the player controlling.
I have this. It's a weapon. It's really powerful, especially against living things.
Shout out to Hathos. That's my homeboy. I know that, man. He got Barry Burton from Resident Evil. Every time someone follows, there'll be one of 20 different video game characters that'll appear on screen. And he got Barry Burton. Also, it was very hard to get that audio clip. I had a... Oh.
You got paid?
Shout out to Genocidal Moose. I believe I also know who that is. He got Zangief with the line from the Street Fighter live-action movie. One of probably the best line deliveries. He realizes that as they're retreating, that someone says, "I'm not getting paid enough for this." And he's like, "Wait, you're getting paid?" But anyways, back to the stream. So we're going to go ahead and load the city whenever we do this, but we're going to do a check to make sure that only when a player-controlled character actually does it, not when an AI does it. So it's very easy to do because we're passing in our character. So if we go ahead and say get controller, let me explain this. If you're unfamiliar with UE4, what a controller is, it's the class that gets created per player. So if you're playing co-op, you have two controllers. Not a video game controller. A controller is more of like the aspect of like there is a person controlling. There's one person interacting per controller. So if you have a multiplayer game, you'll have one controller per player. One a single player game, you only have one controller. Co-op game, you have two controllers. But this is so far is going to be a single player game. But even if it's co-op, we'd probably still want this functionality to work. But what we're going to do is we're going to say get the controller, and we're going to say does the controller equal the same controller as get controller get player controller that has an ID of 0. And the reason this will work right now is because there's only one player, and an index of 0 is always our first index, so we're always getting the first player when we do it this way. So we're going to say, hey, if the character that interacted with the city, if it's the same character that is controlled by the main player, then we do this logic. Otherwise, we will not perform the logic. Let's go ahead and play this and take a look out. Okay, we'll wait till some cities get claimed. Everyone's rushing down here for this one. So we can see we even got the print of people trying to double claim, but you still notice we didn't stream into level. You don't see the houses. But when I go in here, boom, we now streamed in the level and we got the houses. So we got this first part working. Obviously, there's some issues. What are these cities doing inside of this city? So not only do we have to stream into this level, we have to clean up what was in the previous level, and that's very, very important because that's one of the downsides of streaming is that you're saying I want to have two levels in memory, and I want to on command be able to move between one level and the other level. So the goal of this is that you try to make it so whenever you stream, you just unload manually all the stuff that you have loaded in, which means you have to keep track of everything. Especially going to be very important for our game because our overworld should stay consistent. If we were to just make it so we just delete everything off of it and we load back into it, everything would just be re-randomized. It wouldn't be the same thing as before. But that's fine. We'll get taken care of that probably next stream. But we're going to go ahead and add that code now. So we go ahead and have it. So we load the city whenever we enter it. But let's go ahead and make sure that when we load a city, that we also unload the world. And the way that we can do that is through our city manager, which we have. So what we can do is we'll just go ahead and create a function here. We will call it clear overworld. And basically this is what we'll call anytime that we want to, no, this would not be the correct name for this function. This would be as if we put in our overworld class. However, I do want a function in here, but we're going to make it, this is our city manager. So make sure that we're only going to deal with cities in our city manager class. So we're going to say clear cities instead. Already from our last session, we have an array of cities, which once again, every time we spawn a city, we add it to this array so we can keep track of it. We know how many cities we spawned in. And that's going to become very, very important, especially for right now, because if we didn't do this, we would have really no way to correctly delete all the cities that we spawned in originally. But that's not an issue. We'll go ahead and say for each loop, and we're going to go ahead and we're going to plug in a delete. And I want someone might be like, oh no, this isn't going to work. This is going to fail. And this absolutely will fail. And I want to explain why, because this is something that pretty much almost everyone that does any sort of reference arrays that they usually encounter whenever they want to clear it. Because we just don't want to clear this array. If I went and I did clear array, we're not destroying the cities. We're not getting rid of the cities. All we're doing is removing everything out of the cities. We're emptying the array, but the city still exists. We actually want to destroy each city. And so when we iterate through this list, we're going to be like, okay, we're at our first city. Let's destroy it. And then a problem occurs. Because when you destroy the first city, you automatically resize the array, which means that when it goes through the next for each loop, it'll iterate up one, but your array has shrunk by one. So you'll actually skip one of the cities. So you can't do it this way. How you would do this is you would actually do it backwards. You would iterate through the array backwards, and then you would delete it. Because if you go through it backwards, you're resizing your array, but the resizing isn't affecting your index. Your indexing, the way that you're erasing your array, are both in parallel. So they'll never overlap and they'll never conflict. So, did they add a backwards here for each loop? Reverse for each loop. Thank God. So they used to not have this for a long, long time, but someone told me they recently added it. So I macroed one of these myself, but it's nice that they actually added one. So this is how we clear our cities. We can just go ahead and just boom, 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 and we clear the cities. Do we have a reference to our city manager? We do not. We can go ahead and do that. Uh, No, because I want to structure this a different way. So we're going to be very naughty, and we're going to do something that I would not recommend normally doing, and it's a very, very sloppy way, but it'll get us up and running very, very quickly. What we want to do is we want to be able to call this function from the cities, but the problem is that we don't have a way to access our city manager class. It doesn't currently exist. However, there's only one city manager class. So we can do something kind of cheeky. And what that is we'll say get all actors of class. We are going to specify our city manager. And because there's only one city manager class that's being spawned in, we can just say get the first index of this array. And now we have a reference to our BP city manager. So the way this node works is it literally just looks at runtime, it looks at all instances of a specific class and it spits them out all into an array. This is kind of expensive. You wouldn't want to do it this way. Normally what you want to do is get it through a reference. However, I'll probably be creating an interface specifically for that at a different time, and that will be a video of its own. But for right now, we're just going to go ahead and do this. We can then go ahead and say clear cities. And then we can then load our city. Actually, you know what? It would make much more sense if we did it after we load it in, once everything's actually loaded in. Okay, so Red's already claimed the city, so we can go here. And you'll see the city's disappeared. And you can actually see it kind of like faded out. That's all UE4 level streaming built in. Taking a look at the comments right here. Let's see. A lot of people talking, bruh, need a designer. This is just a tutorial series. I'm not actually making like anything to sell here, so I don't really need anything. This is more just to be informative and to teach people how to utilize Unreal Engine 4 to make games on their own. But as you can see, we've streamed into our city. Problems though. We're spawning in NPCs, extra NPCs it looks like. And also, we probably want to get rid of all the NPCs. So that's fine. What we need to do is just like what we did with our city manager, where we cleared out all of this. We're going to go ahead to our faction manager, and we're going to do something like that as well. And we're going to go ahead and create a new function. We're going to say clear. This is probably going to be called NPC manager at some point. We're going to say clear NPCs. Wait a minute. Oh, here it is. We are not unlike our cities, we are not adding an array for each of these. Okay, we need to do that as well. Why are all of these being possessed? In pawn, basic static mesh. Oh, these are AI controllers. Oh, that's right. We don't spawn our main character. For a second, I was wondering how we were spawning a main character, but I forgot. Our character is spawned in by our game mode natively through the natural possessive mode of just having an empty pawn there. And all of these are just specifically for our AI. So this is fine. So we're going to go ahead and we're going to say NPCs. We're going to make this an array of. We're going to make this a type of top-down character, and then we're going to select this button right here to make it an array. So now we have a way to store references to a list of NPCs, and we're going to go ahead and make sure that we are adding every NPC we spawn to this, and I have the wrong class type. Oh, nope, I have the right class type. I am just pulling from the wrong pen. We will do that here. We'll do this at the very end. It makes sense that we officially add them once they have been fully set up. And now we have a way to track every single NPC that we have. So we can go to clear NPCs, and just like what we did before, we will say for each reverse loop, and then we will destroy actor. Just like that. Very simple, very basic. Once again, utilizing a reverse loop, because if we do a forward loop, we will be skipping indexes when we do the iteration, because the auto-sizing nature of T arrays. So we just go ahead and use a reverse loop. It makes it very, very easy. Next, we are going to call this just like what we're doing before. We're going to continue to use kind of our, ghetto methodology of just grabbing stuff here. So this is, I'm going to go ahead and predict what's going to happen here, because there's going to be an issue. So I copied and pasted this. But this node right here is already set up for a specific type, the type that is designated by this dropdown. So if I go down here and I say faction manager, and I compile, I will not get an error. No, wait, it's going to give an error, but you'll see it says faction manager object referenced here. But when I go here, it says BP city manager object reference. That's because this node is still cached from when I copied it here. So you can do several different things with the easiest way. Just refresh the node, and you now see it says faction manager, and I'll get rid of any errors that you have when you copy and paste stuff that is class specific. And oh man, it is 91 degrees in this room right now. Ooh wee, I'm sweating. But we'll continue on. We'll go ahead and say clear NPCs. And we will compile and we will play. The city is already captured because he spawned right next to it. So we did it, and the NPCs despawn. However, these are, we're still spawning in factions, which is confusing me. It means it's logging in to the same. Wait. So you'll see it's deleting these NPCs, but when we load into this level, we're getting new NPCs. Oh, no, I'm a fool. I dropped these in here. That's actually part of the level. That's right. I forgot. I'm sorry, everyone. But when we go to our map, or I guess we're already in here. I forgot that I dropped these in here manually. But interesting enough, what you'll see is that. Oop, I don't know why I did that. That's not what I wanted to do. I need to walk into a claim city. So this one right here is running. The reason why is because it's the one that we auto possess. It's the first one that was placed into the level. So our player controller somehow has interacted with it, updated its state machine, but then we got control back to it, but it's still stuck in its state machine. It's stuck in a running state. That's interesting. Not that it's relevant. We're not going to really deal with that. Okay, so now we're loading into the city and everything. Now we want something drastically to change whenever we load into a city. We want it so our camera moves in and becomes more third person when we're in a city. So the way that we do this was, we kind of already did this in our first video when we made our camera move further out, is that we have these spring arms that are a natural part of UE4, and they determine how the camera is going to be placed relative to our character. And so what we're going to do is we're just going to go top-down character, and we're going to go ahead and create two events. Custom event. We're going to say we're just going to call this third person, and we're going to add another event, and we're going to say isometric. Later, this will be replaced with a state machine, but for right now, we're going to go ahead and call these events after probably the enum values that I would be using for the state machine. And we'll keep this for right now, but this means that we're going to be switching to a third-person view, and we're going to be switching to an isometric view. So for setting the isometric view, it's going to be kind of easy to figure that out because it's going to be the current values that we currently have, which is a target arm length of 2000 and an absolute rotation of negative 60y. So I'm going to go ahead and copy this from here just to make it a little bit easier. I'm going to say set absolute set. Can I just do rotation? Wait, there we go. I was wondering why I was saying that. That's fine. We will go ahead and say set relative rotation. We're going to put this at negative 60. Negative 60. But there's going to be an issue, is that if we do this, it's also going to zero out the z and the x, which is going to be unusual. It means our camera is going to snap. It's going to teleport to where the rotation of the y and the z are 0, 0, which it's most likely not going to be if I rotate the camera at any point. So for right now, it's not going to cause an issue because we don't rotate the camera, but we potentially could in the future. So right now what I'm going to do is also I'm going to say get relative rotation. I am then going to cause a break, and we are then going to pop in the current x and z values into the values that we're going to be setting. So ultimately, all we're looking to do is to make sure that we have the same x and z, but go ahead and change it to a negative 60. Now, this actually could be something that we may not want to happen. The reason why is maybe we want to always, when we leave the city, we reset to a default, like isometric view, like the cameras will be facing north or something like that, rather than relative. But we'll take a look at it. For right now, we're going to keep this in. Okay, and then we want to do we have to adjust the length of the arm as well. So the length is 2000. Go ahead and copy that. We'll say set target arm length of 2000. Okay, now what I'm going to do is I'm actually just going, because I don't know what's a good value for the third person camera. So what we're going to do is we're just going to change it, and we're just going to see how it looks in the game, and we'll make adjustments in here. All right, so it looks a little bit too top down. We probably want to rotate it a little bit. So probably, I don't know if this is even the right way. I'm honestly guessing. Nope, thought I was, yeah, so probably, let's do 30. All right, so now we got like a third person view. It doesn't work too well with point to click, but at this point in time, I really don't expect point and click to be the primary form of control. Usually do WSAD even for the overworld, but we'll maintain point and click. But what it would have to be is that we'd have to add some specific logic whenever it's enabled. It wouldn't be something that you would freely have because it could potentially mix with some other inputs, but we'll get to that later. All right, so this actually looks good. So we are going to copy this here because this is almost everything that we want. Paste this here, plug in these pins here, and we are just going to change these values to what we currently have for our spring arm. So we want a target arm length of 500, and then a negative 30 value here. I'm then going to go ahead and reset the default for this back to the isometric view, since we start out as that. And we'll compile, and then we'll play. City manager, claim city. We can, from right here, one second, what is this? Player, character, top down character. Okay, we can just do here, and we'll say third person. Whoa. Why is that doing that? Why is that doing that? Why are we rotating now? That's fine. Anyways, we'll just go here. Okay. Uh. Oh, our character's tied to the level. That's right. But let's explain. I got to figure out why we're rotating here. 1 second. Oh, let's not spawn in the city. Why are we suddenly doing this? Hmm. That's weird. Oh, wait, there should be there must be there we go. Absolute world. Okay. I see. Why? So when we load in, is it because of the characters that we're possessing and it's resetting it? We'll figure out real quick. We're gonna delete all these characters that we put in. Because what's happening is I'm possessing the first one there, and I'm losing the possession of my previous one. Okay, there we go. That's what I was expecting. All right. So now we need to have it so we can actually like leave the city. Also, I don't like that isometric view. I think it's not. You can't see too much ahead of yourself. Let's might angle it down a little bit more. Just want to double check. Yeah, you can't really see. I mean, this would be good for combat. I mean, you'd be adjusting the camera angle with your mouse anyways, which is what's going to happen whenever this comes third person view. You'd pretty much only be exclusively to WSAD. I'll still keep some like click movement behavior, but I'll probably change how it works. Okay, so we're loading into our city. We're unloading the overworld. Let's add a little bit of combat. And we're gonna do some projectiles. I want to kind of make this game a little bit like fun to play. So we're gonna have some melee stuff, but we're gonna keep a lot of projectiles. And let's see. Let's do. Oh yeah, we'll just make like a bullet or something. We'll go to our top-down BP custom folder. I'm just gonna call this projectiles. Projectiles. We'll go ahead and create a blueprint. Is there already like a base projectile class? I don't think so. That's fine. We'll go ahead and make this an actor. The reason we're making it an actor is because it's something that's going to have 3D position. So if it didn't have relative 3D position or just no 3D position, we would use a new object, but this is something that's going to exist in world space. So we're going to call this, it's an actor. That's like the one defining trait between an object and an actor is actors always have some sort of, they always have a transform of where their location is based. But anyways, we'll go ahead into this and we'll say BP. We'll just say projectile. Projectile. No, we'll make this the yeah, we're just gonna call this projectile 0. Now UE4 has a quick way to do projectiles by just adding a projectile movement component. And when you select this, you'll have all these default values over here on the right-hand side. So you can tell how its initial velocity and all of that's going to be. And it's been a while since I messed with this, so probably going to be tinkering with this a little bit. Um, wonder why these are all start at. Oh, there's zero is no limit. I got it. Like this, just like a 500. Don't think that's that fast. We can make it so it can bounce. People like bouncing, right? Uh, doo -doo 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 -doo. Okay, and then we'll add a. We'll just make it like a sphere that we shoot out. It's a big sphere. Simulate physics. Let's give this a color that's like here. What's this? Red. We'll make it red. Okay. Custom event. Add custom event. Shoot. Actually, no. Wait. Let's just do a keyboard binding. E key. E. Also, sweating a little bit. We have our E key, and we will go ahead and say that we want to uh, spawn actor from class. We are going to go ahead and do our BP projectile 0. Um, right now, we're going to do something that we're going to be removing later, but we're going to create a point at which we spawn the projectile. And if you just want a point, like a point in 3D space, I highly recommend using an arrow component. It doesn't visually ever show up in in the game. It's just there so you can see where the vector is. And it's not just a location, it's a full transform, hence why it's an arrow. But we're going to go ahead and get that arrow. We're going to say get world transform, and we're going to pop that in here. Just like that. And we should be able to spawn these right away. Okay, well there's our projectile. Yeah, it's not it's kind of disappointing, I would say. Yeah, it's not a very good projectile, is it? Let's give it a little bit more force. Um, I guess because it has a lot of mass. Maybe that's why. But we'll figure it out. We'll go to a projectile movement. Let's give this bad boy 5,000 force, or initial velocity of 5,000. Hmm. Looks like it's not getting any initial velocity. Looks like it's just spawning in, and that is it. And local space. Uh, I could always just manually increase its velocity. I'll try this here, but I'm trying to think of why. 5,000 is pretty quick. Hmm. And it's not spawning in our character, is it? Where's our top-down character? Here it is. Maybe it is. No, I even have it angled up. There's something basic here that I am not doing correctly, and it's something very basic. Let us see. Projectile movement. Do I have to adjust the velocity? No, do not think so. I might have to look this up. Something so basic. Well, here, I can just, what is this? Can do, this is a Boolean, no? All right, these projectiles are a little bad. One moment, we're just gonna do a quick Google search and figure out how to do this because I have forgotten how to do it off the top of my head. UE4 projectile um, initial speed. Is it just the initial speed that I missed? Oh, let's PP projectile initial speeds right there. Is it because it's a physics object? That's my guess. Oh wait, yeah. Let's take this off. That's it. It's because I made it a physics object. I forgot. Okay. All right, so now we got a projectile. But there's something we got to do with the projectile. When we create this projectile, we have to make sure that it knows that we are the ones that shot it. Because if we kill something with it, we want to make sure we get credit. So that's going to be very important. And what we're going to do is we're going to go ahead and we're going to say, in our projectile, we're going to create a reference to character owner. And we're going to change this to our top-down character class. And we're going to do instance edible and expose on spawn. And what this does is that if we go back down to top-down character and we select the node where we're spawning it and we refresh it, we now see the variable pin for that variable that we just created, which means that we can now set it with a reference to the character that spawned it, which I did something wrong. Self object reference is not compatible with top-down character. Cas to top-down character. Don't know why I have to do this. This is a bit unusual. We'll convert to pure cast. Wait. Top-down character reference is not down. Oh, I do have the wrong one. Top-down character. I did controller. There we go. Now a reference to self should refresh. Gotta compile in here. Refresh again. Did I get it? I got it. Ooh, there we go. Oh man. So what we're saying is every time we spawn it, make sure that we're setting its variable, the instance of this class's variable character owner, and set it as a reference to self. So we always know who shot it, like who was the person who shot this projectile, which is good because we can have our logic of what happens when the projectile hits something in the projectile itself. Um, in this case, we can say event actor begin overlap. Which we would want this here on hit. Oh,
You got paid?
shout out to Naz Vanilla. I think I know who that is as well. Shout out to Naz. I believe I know who that is. Another Zangief. You know, it's odd. That's the fourth Zangief we got this week. I have no idea why it's so weighted to Zangief. So we have the sphere here. This sphere is our mesh. It's the mesh of the actual projectile. And what we want to do is actually, what am I doing? I don't want to do here. I want to select the sphere component, and then on the right hand side, you'll get of all the events that you can have happen whenever it does stuff. In this case, we're going to say on component hit. This looks like what we're going to be looking for. We're going to say is the other actor valid that we hit, just for a sanity check? I guess it's not really a sanity check, not by definition, but it's along similar lines. We're going to say, if we hit something, is it another actor? Cast to... Actually, yeah. Top-down character. Is the thing that we also hit a top-down character? And we're going to do one more thing. Can we make sure that we didn't hit ourselves? So we're taking a reference of the object that we hit and saying, did we accidentally shoot ourselves? If so, we're not going to do anything. We're only going to do this if we shoot someone else. We're not going to have self-inflicted gunshot wounds in this game. And if it's not, then what we need to do is we need to hurt the character. In this case, we're just going to kill it. So we're going to go to our top-down character. We're going to add a new custom event. And we're just going to call it die. And what it's going to do is it's going to destroy itself, but we're going to say delay. We're going to do play sound 2D. What sounds do we got? Explosion 1. This guy's going to explode every time he dies. We're adding a delay just so, like, the explosion happens and then there's a delay, then it gets destroyed. Oh. And then from here, we can now call that die function. All right, this is gonna be real hard to hit these guys because it's angled kind of up. We're gonna angle our thing a little bit more down. Something like that. It's going slightly over their head still. Bring it down some more. Just don't want it to hit the ground. Wait. I'm definitely hitting them. Alright, so I'm hitting them, but it's not working as expected. On component hit sphere. Do I have it to generate overlap, simulate, generate hit events? My bad. So if we want these hit events to work, you do have to select this little checkbox here. There we go. No, still not working. Definitely hitting them. Well, what we're going to do is we're going to debug this in real time. And I'll show you how we do that. Oh, That's right. This is going to be per projectile, and our projectiles like die, so that's actually going to be real hard to do that. Top-down character. Also, we're going to do something real quick. We're going to go to our city manager. And we're going to have it so we don't spawn in cities right now. So the guys just stand still. They don't have any objectives. They don't actually try to claim cities. So they are not dying. Oh, that guy took a ride. So I'm still doing something wrong with my projectile. Let's open this back up. Is it valid? Yes. Is cast the other actor to top-down character. If it's not the owning character, then we tell it to kill itself. That sounds about right. Right? Looks all good? Let's just double check. Simulate hit opponents on component hit. I'm just going to have it play sound. It should be playing sounds a lot, though, because the generate hit should also happen We'll do click button Q. Every time it bounces, I believe. No? Oh, wait, what? Collision. Block all dynamic. Generate overlap events. Why is it clipping through? Oh, so we're not even getting generate hit events. Okay. I do want this to be bouncy, so we do want it to have... We can enable the physics halfway through. Actually, we're going to do block all. Maybe... No. Now I'm getting confused why it's just clipping through the ground. But that's fine. We could do... I know of a different way to do this. I was just trying to save some time, but this is clearly not working. So we're just going to do a hitbox? I don't know. The hitbox is kind of janky. Let's go to this here. Physics component should update. Physics, nope. Auto physics volume. See, if I do this here, that generates the hits because it's all tied to the physics, as you can see. And it's killing me as well when I run into it, which I shouldn't be doing. Why is it killing me? Did I set this right? Projectile, blah, blah, blah. It's got to be casting to something too for it to work. Alright, this is fine. We're just gonna do something a little bit more basic. Projectile bounce, on projectile stop. We don't want this kind of like a grenade. So the way these functions are, so I see why it is. We're just gonna go ahead and do a simple sphere collision. We got 64, 60, 58, 54. We'll do something like that. And then on this, we do on component begin overlap. And then we plug in all of this here. We did turn off the simulate physics, right? Physics, yes. How disappointing. Did I say generate overlap events? Yes, generate overlap events. Collision, overlap all dynamic. Yes. Well, we can crank this bad boy up. That was really the only thing that I can think that would be causing issues here. Let's also see if this is happening. It should be. Or have a play the sound. So that's it colliding with me, it sounds like. It's definitely hitting something. We'll move it out a little bit. Is it rolling? Like, no, it's flying. just going to move this down a little bit. It's hitting an actor. It's hitting an actor that is colliding with something that isn't a character. Also, these collisions. Did I do character? No, I did. Yeah, this should be character. Cast a top-down character. We're going to go ahead and to string print string. I want to see what the heck is going on here. It's colliding with itself? Uh, isn't there one specifically for? No, there's not. Overlap all dynamic. That's fine. So what is it? Top-down character. When it hits, it is saying that it's hitting a top-down character. But why does it never validate here? Oh, because I'm pulling from. Oh. I was pulling from the wrong pin, from the wrong node. This is probably was working the entire time. It, wait. No. No, it is top-down character. Let's even double check this. Yeah. Where is the earth-shattering kaboom? Oh, no one saw that. We're all good. There we go. I flipped when I should have flopped. Alright. Alright, but that's kind of boring, isn't it? That's not very fun combat. Like, they just die in one hit. Let's add some health bars. Uh, So the simple way to do this, we go to top-down character, add a new variable. We call this HP. 1 second. Actually, we don't want to do current HP, or we don't want to just do HP. We want to do current HP changes to a data type of integer. And then we want to do current, oh no, we want to do max HP. Max HP. We'll set this to 100. We will also do this by 100. So we usually, when you want a health bar, you have to do some assets and stuff that you want to get set up. We don't really have any assets right now, so we're just going to do something kind of hacky. And what we're going to do is we're going to go ahead and we're going to say add text render, or text render. This is going to be attached to our mesh. We're going to put it up like right here. We're going to make its alignment center for both its vertical and horizontal alignment, meaning that'll be like right in the center. And what we're going to do is, I'm going to take this. Okay, so I'm going to explain what I'm going to do is that right now, this, well, here, I'll play in the game. and I'll show you what. Like, I want this text to kind of show the health, but if you could see, it's like it's locked relative to the player, and that means like if I go sideways, you can't even. Well, I mean, you can hardly see it here. Let me make this a little bit bigger. There we go. So you see, like, if I'm sideways, it's gone. This is going to be a problem. We want this always going to be visible. And so how we're going to do that is we're going to make it so the text render always faces the way towards the player's camera. And we can do that by going to our event tick. We're just going to do a little sequence node here, just so it kind of keeps stuff organized. I don't want people to get too distracted by what's going on over there, so we're just going to come down here. But this is, just a reminder, this is all coming off of our event tick. So every event tick, we're going to say get controller 0, get the first player controller. We're going to cast the pawn that, oh, wait, no, not control, get controller by get player controller. There we go. Get player controller of index 0, which means we're getting our first player. We are then going to say get controlled pawn. And because it's always controlling the exact same pawn, we can say that cast to top-down character with 100% reliability. That will always work. So we're going to go ahead and convert this to a pure cast, which just literally saves a space. That's all. And then we are going to say get camera 1. All right, so now we always have a reference to the player's character, the first player's character. So no matter which top-down character we are now dynamically getting their camera. And then we are going to say set, what does it look at? Set look at, what, there's a find look at rotation. That's what I'm looking for. And what we're going to do is we're going to say, okay, wherever the text render currently is, get rotation. I'm sorry. We want get forward vector. We want to get the way it's pointing. And then we want to find out the way the camera is pointing. And so what we're doing is we're saying, okay, figure out what rotation text render needs to be for it to be looking at our camera. And then we set world rotation of the text render. Okay, I was doing something a little bit odd here. That definitely doesn't look right. It looks like it is going crazy. So we did something wrong here. Let's just make sure I don't have these flipped around. It does look like they're kind of flipping. Okay, I had them flipped around. And now you can see the text is always displaying towards the player. Isn't that neat? No matter which way we face, it's always being displayed towards the camera. All right, this is going to be our health, and we're going to do this in a very, very lame way. How we're going to do this is we're just going to have 10, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 pipe characters, and we're going to change its color to a green. Bam, now it looks like we have health. Oh, also, it's going to look a little bit blurry. That's because of the temporal AA. It's a part of text renders. But don't worry, we're going to be changing this. As for right now, we're just going to... I forget that kills people. We're going to be just using this as our health bar, which means that we need a function that will actually update this. So what we're going to do is we're going to create a new event, custom event. Actually, this doesn't need to be event. We can just do a function. We'll call it update HP visuals. Actually, no, we'll just say update HP. No, modify HP. I've done this before. I always find this the best way to do. And then we're going to say modify value. The reason why I like modify HP means that we can pass in a positive or negative value here and just have one function that can delegate the entire process of modifying the HP, whether they're taking damage, getting healed, initializing, and all that stuff. But anyways, what we'll do is we'll go ahead and say get current HP. We are going to add these together. So if this is a negative value, ultimately it will end up subtraction. We will add these. If this is less than 0, meaning that we have actually less than 1. Actually, let's do it the proper way. A less than equal to 0. We then branch, and then we call our function that we did earlier, which is die, because we have died, right? Let's get rid of ourselves. However, if we do survive, whatever our HP modification is, actually, we need to do one thing. We need to... Actually, we'll just go ahead and do this here. We can do something very simple. I'll explain why. Equals 0. So what we're doing is we're doing a clamp here. It means that this addition will never return anything that gives us more than our max HP. And that means that we can just pipe in the output of it into here, and we already have our current HP, and we don't have to worry about exceeding our max HP. We don't have to do a secondary check because our clamp has that already taken care of. So now we have it, so our HP actually gets changed, but now it needs to be visually updated. So we get our text render. We will say get max HP divided by, or to float. Actually, no. Integer divided by integer. Max HP divided by current HP. I have to double check some math just to make sure I'm not going to be done. So let's just say like 100 divided by 50 equals 2. I'm just trying to think. I've done this before. There's a simple way to get the math real simple, so we can figure out how many, the percentage of this from this. Wait, it's just cross multiply divided by 100, right? That's all we want. So it's going to be this times this divided by 100. And then divide by the max HP. Let's figure this out before I do this. Clear. Okay, so let's say our current HP is 50 times 100 divided by 100. I mean, that just puts us back at 50%, which, yeah, that makes sense. We'd be at 50%. Okay. We then... what can we... Wait. No, I do just want this. No. Yeah, this is all I want. I don't know why I'm making this so difficult. This is all I need. All right. We then say get text for loop. We're going to do a local string value. We're going to say health string get append pipe character set text pipe in the text here. Wait, no. Nope, break that pin. Doing this a little bit off. Set health. Do that there. When we're completed, we then set that based off the value of health. And there's one problem that I just realized is that this isn't going to quite work because it'll always recenter because I have it here. So we probably want the horizontal alignment to left and then make it like that. That way that our health like starts removing from the right-hand side, but it doesn't reposition everything. Okay. We're going to test this real quick by hurting ourselves. We're going to just add a quick button key. We're going to say Q key. And we're going to say modify HP. We're going to target ourselves, and we're going to modify it by 15, negative 15. Okay, that did not quite work. Our health went down to 1 immediately. Let's go back and see how we messed that up. Append, get health, append this for each one. Max HP, did I set both of these? 100, current HP is 100. So 15, negative 15 is that, 85. We return 85. 85 divided by 100 equals 0.85. Oh. Percentage to an integer value is what I want. Nope, that still didn't do it. Shouldn't have to be that. That'll do like, no, should just be this. Point times 10, just 8.5, which means this should be 9, right? So 0, oh, let's do this here. We want to start at 1 because we're starting that way. That reduces everything. This is an event, so this should always be cleared up every time that we call it. Oh, wait. Local variable. Yeah, it's a local variable, so this is always going to be cleared. We don't have to clean it up. Set health when we're all done. Set our health here. We're just going to have this print real quick because clearly there's something wrong with my math. To string. We didn't go even through here once. Okay, let's double check this again. So 85 divided by 100. Nope, that's 85 divided by 100 times 10, which is 8.5, which then gets truncated to 8. But clearly that is not the case. Let's see actually what it is. It's 0. It is definitely 0. Oh, because this is getting truncated down to 0. To float, divide. There we go. Nope, still messed up. Oh wait, no. That's why, because this has to be times. Because what the issue is that it's This is returning a decimal value, which if I have it as an integer, it's always going to return an integer. It's not going to return a decimal. So 0.85 returns 0. Duh, obviously, very basic like day one problem. So I need to make sure that I do this multiplication while it's a float. So I have decimal precision and then ultimately truncate because I do want an integer to be done with. Okay, maybe I don't want this? That can't be right. There we go. So I almost had it right the first time, just a little bit off. All right, so now when we hit Q, we take 15. We do 15 damage to ourselves. 1 second, why? I don't like the way this moves off of it. 1 second. Capsule component. Because it's always looking towards the screen. That's why it's going off. You can see that like it moves slightly over to the right here. The problem though is if I do the center alignment here to fix it, you see like it whenever I shrink the text, it moves in on itself, which I don't really want. I definitely want it to be from the left-hand side, moving out. Oh yeah, I kill myself every time I take away my health. Well, I could put it on a swing arm to fix it, but we're not going to be too concerned about it because right now we just have a way to keep track of health. So I'm going to go back to our city manager. We're going to make it so we spawn back in cities. We're going to let someone claim a city. We will then go into the city, load into it, and then we are here. We can shoot, we can hurt ourselves. So this is our projectile and stuff like that. I think if I want to make this a physics object with the projectile, there's two ways I can do it. Either switch it once it's at the apex or once after a few seconds, which is kind of a good way to do it. The alternative is to have it so it always has physics enabled and replace its initial velocity with an impulse. Those are the two ways that I can think of doing it. But anyways, we're good there. So we kind of did everything that we wanted to, but we still got some time left over for today. So let's see, what do we want to add? Got health. Oh, I guess we should make it so our projectiles just don't instantly kill. We will say modify HP, take negative 15 damage. And play a hit sound effect every time we hit someone. Yeah. Yeah. Get wrecked. I am the true mannequin model. Yeah. Yeah. All right, but I guess so. What we did today, we did get a lot of stuff done, but a lot of the stuff we're going to have to rewrite, and I want to explain about this because this is going to be the next part of the next stream. So there's some problems. The first thing is that we kind of discussed it earlier, is that every time we go to a city, we're just destroying everything. We're destroying everything that's happening. However, that has some major repercussions when we want to leave the city, is that when we leave, everything's gone because we deleted it. We've done nothing to store that data to make sure that we could bring it back when we leave the city. So we need to do that. But there's a problem with that, is currently all of our data is within our city object about the cities. Like it's in this actual class here. So every time we destroy it, we lose all the data about it. So the first thing that people would think of is, why not just hide it? Why not just set it invisible? And I don't kind of like that object because it's still kind of there. Like it still can be interfering with things. So what I like to do is I do like to destroy it, but that means I have to store the data about it somewhere, which causes a problem because if you store it somewhere, that means you're storing every time the city's up, you're storing the data twice. So what we're going to be doing in the next session is we're going to be datafying our classes. And what that means is that we're going to have it so every time we spawn a city, that we don't keep the data inside with the mesh, the class that does the mesh. What we're going to do is we're just going to have the class with the mesh just purely be the visuals of it. And it will read from another class the data that it needs to know how to generate itself. And it'll also store an ID to whatever city it corresponds with. And then all the data for the city is going to be a global data set, meaning that it will be always accessible, which is kind of important, especially when we start doing fog of war, because just because we can't see a city doesn't necessarily mean that we don't want to think about it in the logic. An example is if what if there is an NPC that's in the fog of war, like you move away and he's now shrouded by the fog of war. If we just deleted him, he would no longer move, but we want him to keep moving logically behind the scenes. The player doesn't know it, he can't see it, so we're not going to animate it, but we need to be able to track that data, and we're going to be doing that through a class. So that's going to be a class that's all about maintaining the overworld data. And there's several different ways that you can do it, because we are using the overworld as a, or not we're probably not our overworld, but we have a level, an empty level that we're using as the mesh area for the overworld. We could use that class. We could do it in its level blueprints. We could spawn our own manager class, which is most likely what we could do, or we could even have it just tied down to the game mode class itself. The problem would be that we would then have to load that data from disk and write it to disk every time we transition between the cities and the levels. So those are the three options, but I think we're going to probably have our own little class handler, little manager class that will take care of that. But let's see. We also need another thing that we'll probably do is enhance the city spawning logic, because right here we just had it where we spawned inside of a city. We need to be able to leave cities, which that will be easy to do. That's not going to be a problem. Um, in fact, we can do that right now. Actually, yeah. Actually, you know what we're going to do? We're actually technically doubling up on the collisions. So if I go to map, uh, top down, no, no, not this one. Map city basic. Oh, good. I was about to say I want to delete the floor, but the floor is already deleted, which is ideal. So this is our city map. So what we would need to do to be able to leave the city is we would just need to have a an area that whenever the player enters it, that we just say like, okay, this is the player trying to leave the city and all of that. So we'll do that next time. We also need to talk about our references and stuff like that, because right now we're doing something hacky whenever we're doing our cleanup, and we're just literally calling these cleanup functions. Where is this at? In our BP city. That's where it's at. These right here, we're just getting get all actors of class. We don't want this. What we'll probably do is we'll probably store these within the game mode, and then we'll just get them from the game mode. No, because we probably want these to be well, they're going to be persistent because we're using level streaming. Yeah. So next session, what we'll do is we will make it so we can leave the cities. We're going to make it so we datafy a lot of our class objects, and we will make it so we can recruit a squad member. We'll do that because this is an army game and we haven't even gotten to the recruitment yet. So that's what we'll have for our next session. We'll make it so we can leave cities. We'll make sure that we can, when we leave cities, that we have a datafied class to restore all the cities as they were. And then we will also have it so we can go inside of a city, talk to an NPC, recruit them, and they become part of our squad. And what that means is anytime that we go into a third person view, that they are there with us. But that's it for today, guys. Go ahead and get started on uploading this to YouTube, and I will catch you all later. And once again, as always, I'll sit here because I forgot to turn off my stream, and I gotta wait until I get to the button to actually press it, and then now here's my true goodbye.